Live and direct from anywhere in the world, it's The Kelly Show with Dr. Kelly Mondesire.
Expiration date, November 24th, 2026. I better eat this soon. Expiration date, July 2027. Let's see. Service warranty on parts, 5 years for all parts excluding XYZZABC. Okay. Expiration date. And here's the most important. Dr. Kelly Mondesire. Expiration date. Holy smokeronies. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about longevity. What is it? And my very special guest today is an expert in telling us what exactly longevity is. So stay tuned. After word from our sponsor, we'll be right back with a very, very special guest. Be right back.
This portion of The Kelly Show is being brought to you by White Wolf Advisory Services. We are the bridge between nations, creating growth, commerce and collaboration between cultures. Contact us today for more information.
Welcome back to The Kelly Show, real people with real stories in real time. And today I have a very, very special guest and a brand new friend of mine who is going to tell us all about longevity. Who wants to live forever? Is that really what it is? Well, Dr. Sangeeta Sahi, MD, MBA, is a pioneering post-humanist medical doctor, longevity consultant, and global authority on integrative well-being, leadership, and digital ethics, and is an experienced facilitator for projects related to mental health, technology, and business development. Dr. Sahi is a recognized longevity and well-being expert, and she integrates clinical rigor with complementary therapies. She is a member of the Complementary Medicine Association UK and the Bioregulatory Medicine Association UK. And there's a lot more to her, so you're just going to look up her on LinkedIn or otherwise and get the full skinny. So it's a pleasure and an honor today to welcome my very dear friend, Dr. Sangeeta Sahi, to The Kelly Show. Sangeeta, welcome to The Kelly Show. How are you?
I am wonderful, Kelly. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor. Now tell everyone where in the world you are today.
Right now, Kelly, I'm in London, UK. That's where I am, and we have a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah, it's sunnier than here than in sunny South Carolina. It's a bit cloudy here today. But let's get right to it. You and I have had a conversation about who wants to live together and longevity. So let's unpack this word longevity. What exactly is longevity? Do enlighten us.
Okay, so Kelly, I just want to caveat that longevity it's a much bandied buzzword, as I'm sure everyone is aware, but it's got different layers and different levels, as buzzwords do. So in the commercial aspect, of course, longevity can be anything from supplements to food to devices to the whole gamut, the range of well-being. But in medical language, I would call myself much more of a regenerative medical and integrative medical doctor, because that's really been the core focus of my work, has been in integrative medicine, specifically focusing on the regenerative aspects of medicine, integrative medicine.
But let me just say this for the sake of our audience, who many of them are not medically astute with medical technology. We need to break it down. You and I could talk about cellular regeneration and this, but for the audience, would you bring it to a conversational level that everybody could understand what is regenerative medicine and let's start from the beginning so we can give the audience building blocks that they can understand to the crescendo of your message today.
Okay, fair enough. Longevity on the medical term is cellular health, as you've said. Now, in normal everyday language, longevity is not so much about the length of life or how long you live, but it's really about the quality of life. We've reached a point now, Kelly, in medical technologies and medical innovation where we can get people to live longer and longer. However, the piece that's really missing is the quality. So you can get people to live longer, but A, do they really want to? Are they happy living longer? Are they more fulfilled living longer? Does their life have more meaning and more adventure and all the good stuff? Or is it just a question of length?
And what is going on in the medical field to help individuals understand their own health, take responsibility for their health, and what tools are out there to create quality of life for most individuals?
I think the biggest advancement we've had in longevity medicine is testing. And we've got all sorts of testing available now, functional testing, which can look at your genetics, your genome mapping. It can look at your nutritional sensitivities and imbalances, and it can look at what's missing. So we can add that in to create a more comprehensive immune system, a more comprehensive endocrine system, a more comprehensive gut system. So we've got that, plus we've got a lot of scientifically verifiable data now that is confirming what actually indigenous and ancient medical systems had already documented. And that we can refer to because I've studied Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine as well. So that was already given in these texts. And what we're able to do today is scientifically validate that. So obviously the issues with the gut, the issues with mental health, the issues with environmental health, and the whole incredible field of epigenetics, which is how the environment and our culture, our belief systems, our relationships influence our genetic expression and our quality of life in how we experience our lives.
I get what you're saying. I am a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, and I found that the ancient systems, through testing now, scientific testing, are indeed proving the efficacy and the validity of the medicine. However, I found that there was always this pushback from the American Medical Association and other very traditional forms of medicine. Pushback, well, let's just give drugs because drugs will take care of the situation rather than look at the root problem of what can the individual do on an integrative level to create a better quality of life. And we're talking about, say, blood pressure, we're talking about cholesterol, we're talking about joint health, we're talking about mental health. Do you find on your side of the pond that there is that pushback? And second part of that question is, how is your insurance system working over there? And do you find that the level of education or certain demographics, socioeconomic demographics, either accept or reject what you're saying to us?
Okay, that's an amazing question because I've been teaching since I left med school. And Kelly, I've spent a lot of time in the US, in New York, also in California. And what I've found actually is kind of the opposite. I want to explain this. Kelly, the real pushback is not actually whether it's the US or the UK. The real pushback is that these are two completely different systems. One is a very linear system and it's now, I would say, really outdated. It's an outdated model whereby everything is reductionist. You've got this symptom, so you've got this symptomatic relief for it. And that's not how our actual bodies are designed, wired, or how they express. Because in the human body, as you well know with your background, everything is interconnected. And that is the holistic integrative model approach. So here we've got two different systems. One system says, no, it's either yes or no. There's no range. And it's not an open system, it's a closed system. In the holistic and integrative model and in the ancient healing systems, it was always an open system because it was inclusive and it included the diversity of life itself. It was more based, the holistic system is much more based on life and the natural laws and how life really operates. And we as human beings, being part of life, we're not separate from it. We are within that life. We're within the context. We relate to our environments. We relate to each other. We relate to our animals. We relate to our plants. We relate to our climate and everything else in between. That's an open system. And an open system, Kelly, will allow for evolution and development and dynamic change. Whereas a closed system will say, no, you've got to have the reductionist linear scientific proof. And that takes so long because we've put in so many regulations, we put in so many safety nets, so many guardrails, this type of testing, that type of testing, and all our regulatory bodies like the FDA, like the NHS, et cetera. So it's going to take so long for that system to accept what the open system accepts very naturally and normally and quickly. And that's what our bodies are. So what's really happening is that old system framework is stopping us and delaying our own bodies from healing because it won't accept that actually our bodies are part of the whole rather than just reductionist.
Now, I know you and I believe the right tool for the right job, and the integration of allopathic and technological advances with an integrative holistic system is really the best medicine, because we're taking the best of both worlds to create a system of health and well-being for each individual patient. But I want to talk about how you integrate technology into this whole picture. And we have a photo that Kirsty is going to put up. So tell us what is going on in this photo and explain to us how this works into the whole integrative longevity, great health picture, if you will.
Sure. So in this photo, I was actually demonstrating to a group of medical students the use of virtual reality imaging systems in order to how we can now, using virtual reality, we can actually conduct surgical operations and teach people how to conduct surgical operations, students. And I was showing them how to use it. And in the same way, we use a similar system to be able to look at cellular health, because longevity is very focused, Kelly, on cellular health and how cellular health and everything outside of the cell, extracellularly, how they relate to each other, because that's where we find is the interface of most of the problems. So for me, when I talk about longevity, or let's say regenerative medicine, it's much more focused around stem cells and stem cell enhancement, stem cell development, stem cell regeneration, because that's our beginning, absolute ground zero point of evolution.
Wow, wow. That is absolutely fascinating, and thank you for that explanation. It's amazing when I see robotic surgery, how precise it actually is. And I have many friends who are surgeons, and they were always worried about a little bit of shake years ago. There's no shaking with robotics, but let's get back to basics here. You shared some of the stories of your travels with me in one of our conversations, and I'm absolutely enamored of this photo, not because of the gentleman in the photo, but I'm intrigued as what's going on. Who is this man who's so handsome with the wonderful smile? Is he straight and single and available? Okay. But more importantly, all joking aside, where is this? Who is this man? What's going on here? Do tell.
Okay, so I have a foundation. It's called Unified Human Foundation in the UK, in the US, in Australia, and in India, it's called Unified Prakriti Foundation. And Prakriti in Sanskrit means nature. So what we do at the foundation is we support projects that unify human beings with nature. And that's part of the whole journey of the Ayurveda and plant medicine and all the elements and climate. So we work on 3 platforms with the foundation. We work with innovation and technology for clean air, clean water, waste management and recycling, and aquaculture. The second platform is health, more nature-based health solutions, nutrition, and food security. And then the third platform is cultural and community regeneration, which is also our educational platform. Now, in that photograph, I think the gentleman's name was Awambe. I know he was from Nigeria, and he was a volunteer for Unified Prakriti Foundation in India. We were in Rajasthan, and we were looking at the we were working with an NGO, Tarun Bharat Sangh, that was looking at that they had using indigenous knowledge systems, specifically the indigenous knowledge systems of Ayurveda. They were actually teaching villages how to rejuvenate rivers and waterways, and also how to find water that was naturally there without technological intervention, but that was naturally there. But you would have to know, as like an Ayurvedic, or not even an Ayurvedic, but as a physician of the land. So it was you looking at the land as a being, as an entity, and finding where are the hidden parts which are not coming up, which are literally assessing, identifying, and then opening very specifically, very precisely, with great structure and timing, how to allow that water to come up without creating damage or crises. So that's where that picture is taken. He was a volunteer, and I'm afraid I have no idea whether he's single or available or what. That was taken about a year ago. So people's status changes.
This is true. But on my most recent trip to Africa, I tell you, those people have the most amazing, beautiful smiles. Yes. And I said to one of the guides, I said, how is it that they have the whitest, beautiful, amazing teeth? I'm really about, dental health. And he said, Kelly, they don't eat processed foods or processed sugar. and they never see a dentist, you know, and it's amazing. The smiles are incredible. Just amazing continent, really. But we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Dr. Sangeeta Sahi. Be right back.
This portion of the Kelly Show is being brought to you by White Wolf Advisory Services. We are the bridge between nations, creating growth, commerce and collaboration between cultures. Contact us today for more information.
Welcome back to the Kelly Show, and this is the most incredible conversation with Dr. Sangeeta Sahi. Thank you so much for joining me today and giving me and the viewers your time. I have a question for you. For the person watching this show today, and they've been told you have high blood pressure, you have high cholesterol, you have to lose 40 pounds, you can't run upstairs, your joints hurt, you have headaches, you have migraine, whatever it is, can that quote unquote damage be reversed so each person can have a much better quality of life? And if you could suggest five actions a person can take today to reassess and take control of their quality of life and their health, what would those five be? If you could just narrow it down to five, please.
Okay, I'm probably going to repeat what a lot of people say. However, I'm going to give it context. Number one, they're all simple. However, because of our habitual behavior patterns, people find it difficult to implement, challenging, not difficult. So the first one I would say is sleep, and sleep related to circadian rhythms. So when people truly sleep when the sun goes down or soon after the sun sets, and they actually wake up soon after the sun rises, their bodies, especially their pineal gland and their pituitary glands, are aligned with circadian rhythms. When they're in alignment with circadian rhythms, your bioregulatory system automatically changes just by changing that one habit. And it changes to align itself with light. So the cycles of light. And that's really important because most of the healing and repair work, Kelly, happens in the dark. It happens, it's not just about night and day, it's about in the dark where melatonin can do its job. So that's one. Maximum stem cells, our pluripotent and totipotent stem cells, are produced and regenerated during the night while we sleep. And this is not just sleep, going to bed. It's restful, qualitative sleep. You could sleep for an hour and have the most incredible quality of sleep. And that's enough. For some people, that really is enough because it's very deep and they're rejuvenated. The other one, obviously, is the gut. When you talk about high blood pressure, when you talk about pre-diabetic conditions, you talk about what you're really talking about is inflammation. And when we go back and we address inflammation, one of the first things that we look at is obviously your acid-base balance. We look at metabolism, and metabolism is so closely linked to the endocrine system and then later linked to the nervous system, because the nervous system is our signaling system, but the endocrine system is really our biochemical system. So when we go back to the gut and we look at inflammation, the first thing that I look at is detoxification. So when we address detoxification, because you can take all the supplements that you want. You can eat as healthy as you like. But if it hasn't penetrated the actual pathways and aligned into your cells and your extracellular terrain, and that is full of toxins, nothing that you do is going to really have a good effect. And that's where the exercise and the detoxification comes in, because you're literally cleaning out those pathways so that the new good stuff, whether it's supplements, whether it's a healthy diet, they can really have an effect. And that's what most people don't do. They kind of do all of it, and then they say, well, you know, I'm eating those supplements, I'm spending so much money, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but nothing's helping. Or it helps, it works for a little while and then goes back. Well, if you want real irreversible change, you've got to go much deeper, and you've got to do it consistently. So the detoxification is not just once or twice or thrice in your life. The detoxification is actually on par twice a year. Once in the spring, once in the autumn, as the season changes.
It's like farming.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, the animals go to sleep when the sun goes down. They wake up when the sun comes up. You know, they have their routine, they exercise, they, you know, we are animals, really.
Yep.
You know, we have routines. You know, what you're saying is so simple and so laid out. It's amazing how it gets so tangled and misunderstood. But I interrupt you. Please keep going.
So that those two are fundamental. They're foundational, I would say. And the rest, honestly, if anything, I always tell my patients and my clients is meaningfulness. If your life is without meaning, then you're really not going to be happy. Whereas if you are doing things, you wake up in the morning and you know that your life has value. Whatever you're doing is valuable. It's going to make a contribution to the whole. That's when it becomes meaningful. And that's the interface. The interface of that is relationships and community. So this is where that comes in. I've looked at this from a cellular angle. When we look at the cells, and if they're separated and they're not in harmony with the rest of the cells, say you've got the liver cells or you've got the lung cells, and a few cells are out of sync with the rest of the healthy cells, that's when the mutation starts. So again, it begins with alienation. Just like it does in our relationships and alienation within our communities, that starts to affect us biochemically. So when we go back into the tribe, into the community, and we feel that we are contributing and we are receiving something in return, we feel supported, nurtured. And the feeling of support and nurture is not one way. It's not about taking. It's actually more about giving and receiving. Because once you're giving, even if you're blocked up, I'll tell you, it takes very little time to open up the receiving part, because that is magical. That's where the intention is so powerful.
And, you know, if you want to break it down, everything around us, whether it is metal, wood, concrete, flesh, skin, bones, hair, wood, it doesn't matter. It's all protons, neutrons, electrons. and electrons spin people in space. Okay, folks out there, if you don't know anything about protons, neutrons, electrons, the atomic particles, when electrons of one atom are spinning and it meets another atom spinning there in space, and they start to interact, that is what creates elements like, or it creates this plastic, it creates hair, it creates, flesh. So everything has to interact and flow. And if it doesn't, that's like, something coming against a wall. I had a professor many years ago in medical school that said the difference between us being able to walk through that door without opening it and having to open it is the relationship of the electrons spinning in space. And we could get into quantum and all that, but I'll have to meet you for dinner and we'll get into that conversation. But we're kind of running out of time here. You have to come back.
My pleasure.
We'll continue the conversation, and I'll see you in a week or so. I'll be on the other side of the pond, and we'll have a one-on-one, and we'll be talking for hours, I'm sure. But we have a tradition on the Kelly Show for all of our guests. I ask them this: if you could name one person, place, thing, or experience that you are grateful or thankful for, who or what would it be? Do tell.
Okay, it's very difficult to just pick one, because I've been very fortunate to go to some incredible places and meet incredible people.
One.
But I would say the one that's probably impacted me greatly has been a sage. His name is Sri Aurobindo from India, South India, and his spiritual partner called the Mother. Her name was Mira Alfazar. She was French-Algerian. And the vast amounts of teachings and writings that they have written about evolution from the level of the cell right up to the level of universal and cosmic consciousness, and actually mapped out the systems that are there in this whole range, which has now obviously been validated with quantum physics. So I would say they had a great impact on me when I was introduced to them. And I realized most of my life's work, even though I didn't know that much about them or their teachings, was actually in that direction. It's called integral yoga, integral health, integral medicine. So that, I would say, and they were based out of Pondicherry in South India, on the border of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, Mira Alfazar, I would say, Pondicherry and Oroville. I know many people in the globe know about Oroville. That was pretty impactful. And the experiments that they did at the cellular level, especially with cancer, I've done a lot of work with cancer and immune system imbalances. And consciousness, that was the main thing, the experiments in consciousness.
Okay, well, thank you. So I want to thank you again for enlightening our viewers and giving them just a small little smidgen of what, of course, you could be speaking about for hours and hours and hours, but I will see you soon. And folks, if you would like to contact Dr. Sangeeta Sahi, we have her website and her LinkedIn information here. Do reach out. She will respond. She's a wonderful, wonderful person, a brilliant physician, public speaker. Do contact her and look at her website. And very informative. So, Doctor, I want to thank you once again for being on the Kelly Show, and I'll see you soon.
Kelly, I want to thank you, your viewers, and your teams. It was a great pleasure, and I'm super excited to meet you in person.
Oh, and don't criticize what's on my plate or in my glass.
Not at all. Enjoy life. Enjoy your lives.
Hey,
That's what I
I'm all
want to
about
say.
go with gusto. You know, we've already
Absolutely.
talked about that. All right, I'll see you soon. And folks, if you would like to be on the Kelly Show, please do write in today and let me know why you would like to be a guest on the Kelly Show, what you have to say, what your story is. And don't forget to subscribe to the Kelly Show today. Looky, that information is here. You can find this on most platforms. Okay. And next month, stay tuned. We have a very, very special 5-part series coming in June. I will be speaking and hosting expert panel discussions at the 4th International, and I've got to read this because it's quite lengthy. The 4th International Maynooth University Digital Health Summer School. We are going to have experts in digital health technology. Dr. Sangeeta will be coming back at one point, and I will be wrapping up my tour to Ireland by finding the village where my grandmother came from. I am going over to Ireland as a physician and global speaker. My grandmother came here to the States as a maidservant. So it's going to be an interesting journey for me, a heartfelt journey. And I hope you'll take the journey with me. Look for the shorts on TikTok. You'll find me there, and we'll see you next month. Kirsty, take it away.